Noon, everyone on the East Coast. If you're tuning in from California, it's late in the morning. Of course, you probably didn't expect to hear from us today at this time, but we're doing a test. We've got some exciting announcements to make, and a partnership that we're doing with a large network. We will release more information on that in the coming days and weeks, but we are very excited. And of course, for those of you that have been with us from the start, wow, what a long way we've come, right, in the last 11 plus months. When we started this, it was with the mayor calling Yankees playoff baseball. If I remember correctly, we started when they were playing the Cleveland Indians, sorry, the Cleveland Guardians. We got to be clear there, right? The Cleveland Guardians, we don't want to be canceled. And then they played the Houston Astros, and they lost. Now, which order was it? I'd have to think back to whether it was the Astros. But they were playing the Guardians, and the mayor did some play-by-play, if you remember. And now here we are 11 months later, and I'm currently doing a test, so bear with me. I'll be on the phone here a little bit while we do this. Hey, you got me? Hello? Hey. So I'll see if, so we're currently testing. We have to keep this on for a few minutes, folks, so bear with us as we test. So of course, as you see on the screen here, while we're doing this test, I'm taking the opportunity to promote the Rudy Fund, Support America's Mayor today. Of course, he's being sued this time by Hunter Biden. Hunter falsely claims that the mayor wrongly took possession of his laptop and its contents. Remember, Hunter, time and time again, has actually refused to admit the laptop was his. And in this court filing, you'll notice, in one of the early paragraphs, I believe, they used the word alleged, Hunter's alleged laptop. So even there, they are refusing to 100% confirm that the laptop is his. Therefore, and I'll leave this to the mayor and his world-class attorneys, but doesn't that mean Hunter lacks standing? If he's unwilling to confirm that the laptop is his, right? But at the same time, he's claiming the mayor did all these things with his private contents on this laptop. That just doesn't add up. And now they're accusing the mayor of hacking the thing. Now here's the thing. Look, the mayor, you guys see it. He takes great interest in the technical side of our production, right, of the program here. But as you know, we've never, at no point have we even discussed. The mayor and myself included, by the way, I wouldn't even know the first step. The mayor wouldn't. I don't speak for him, but I can just imagine how that conversation would go, right? Mayor, hack into this laptop. He'd probably open it up and he'd probably try to split it open, right? By the way, that might be what real hacking entails, but I wouldn't even know. So if you were to actually hack a computer, and this is for the tech experts, I'm going to put on the chat, so you guys let us know, those of you that are that understand. So I see here, and that's right, folks. I'm trying to get back to the impeachment inquiry because I do know the mayor's name is coming up repeatedly, and so this test will conclude shortly. But I do want to thank all of you for continuing to support the mayor and support what he's doing, right? This is a man who may be the most consequential federal prosecutor in American history. Certainly in my lifetime and within this generation, right? We're talking about a man who, as a prosecutor, put multiple congressmen behind bars for corruption. He cleaned up the corrupt government of New York City back in the day, these borough presidents, my goodness. Take a look at that. I think maybe 3 or 4 of the 5 borough presidents heard from Mr. Giuliani while he was a federal prosecutor. Of course, he took down the biggest crooks on Wall Street in the 80s, right? He took down the mafia. Literally, he took down the mafia at a time when so many others failed, even the ones that tried, right? They failed to do it. Mayor Giuliani came in and took down the mafia. Of course, he investigated the Hinckley case. That might have been that's when he was the I believe the associate U.S. Attorney General, right, under President Reagan. But he's the man who did the investigation, and the Hinckley, the gentleman who shot Reagan outside the Washington Hilton. As mayor, of course, he cleaned up the streets of New York, right? He turned Times Square into America's front yard. Times Square. Look at what's that movie? Is it Taxi? Taxi Driver. Times Square in the 70s was not a place you'd go. And today, what's Times Square? It's a bunch of families from the Midwest going to Red Lobster, right? And people enjoying the great theaters on Broadway. Well, that's because of Mayor Giuliani. So I like to laugh, right, when I'm down there. And you see, I think some of these theater audiences, not all, but some of them skew to the left, right? So I wonder how many of them understand who it is that allow them to have such a pleasant evening in the city, right? New York City, I wasn't around in the 70s, but talk to anybody who was. Very different place. And the work that Mayor Giuliani did. Even many of his current critics can't take that away from him. He cleaned up the streets. He did so much for when it came to unemployment with workfare. And he did so much more for the black community in New York City than, for example, Al Sharpton has ever done, right? And then, of course, 9/11. He comforted the nation following September the 11th. So we're talking about probably the most consequential mayor in American history, right? We're talking about a man who cleaned up the streets of New York, made it a back into the global destination that it always should have been, put people back to work, brought back, fixed the morale within the police department, the sanitation workers. One of the first things he did was have all the waste, the garbage trucks cleaned up, right? And he had them all fixed up nicely, because when you think about it, in a place like Manhattan, New York City, right, you have the garbage trucks always on the roads, right? They're everywhere. You see them, whether in New York or your hometown. So the mayor knew this is something people saw, so he wanted them to be clean, and it did something for morale. The subways. Think of all the graffiti. Even now, sometimes you think of all the graffiti, especially in like Brooklyn, right, Queens. In the subway, there used to be graffiti and paint on every subway car. Well, what kind of message did that send to folks when you see a subway go, above ground tracks, right? New York's got a lot of those. And a subway goes by and it's got a bunch of graffiti and just all this stuff on the side. Well, it's displaying a city that really has zero self-respect, right? And it tells people, young people, all sorts of people, if I want to paint something on that train car, I can do it. No one's going to do anything about it. So he had the subway cars cleaned up, and he enforced it, right? And people like to get on him for being harsh on. I don't know. New York has a specific term for the people that jump over the subway turnstiles, right? And they don't pay. I don't know what the term is in New York. But the mayor, fare beaters, right? They try to beat the fare. He came down hard on these people. A lot of people can't afford to take the train, and what a mean guy. No, the mayor understood the broken windows theory and put it into practice more than maybe in a successful manner more than anybody, right? And he shares credit with the professors that put that together. But he understood the importance of enforcing low-level offenses, right, to kind of set the tone and let folks know that you are to respect the laws that we as a society have agreed upon. And so it's not about being mean or being harsh against someone who doesn't have the money to take the subway. It's about ensuring we have a system and a society that works, right? And if we want to be this society based on fairness and equity and all these different things, then we have to understand, we have to come together and agree on a set of rules and respect the enforcement of those rules. Well, today, it seems like we have a Democrat Party, many, not all, on that side of the aisle specifically today, who will put their own ideological ambitions ahead of the good of the country, right? And so it's just absolutely disgusting, and we're in such a terrible place as a country. However, as the mayor says time and time again, we're in a bad spot. However, as this country has proven time and time again, over hundreds of years, our best days can be still ahead, right? We've overcome great crises. We've overcome great challenges in the past. The Civil War, right? Literally a civil war. Slavery, of course. All of these awful things, like multiple world wars, literally world wars. We've overcome and we've persevered, and our best days can be ahead. However, that's not to sound too happy-go-lucky, right? The victors do write the history, right? The victors write the history. And unfortunately, the victors aren't always the good guys. And so, as has happened in the past, and unfortunately we're not even aware of some of it because history's been rewritten, we can't allow this time in history to be manipulated and told by the people who are currently working to subvert the values and ideals that built this country. And of course, Mayor Giuliani is on the forefront of defending the values that built this country and speaking out on the topics that have been labeled as off limits, right, by the powers that be. And so we hope you'll support the mayor. The information is on the screen there. You can go to therudyfund.com, give what you can, and as we've said previously, consider telling 3 of your friends, right? If you've given what you can already, or if you're not in a position right now to donate, share this with 3 of your friends. 3 people who you know, whether they like the mayor or not, right? That's not what this is about. 3 people who are concerned with the direction of this country. Maybe we should rephrase that. People who are concerned with the people who are currently in charge of this country and what they're doing to it, and what their plans are for the future, and what that could mean for you, your children, your grandchildren, and future generations. Because everything is at stake. So please, visit therudyfund.com. Give what you can, share with your friends, and and keep continuing to tune into the hearings. And we'll be back with you this evening.